right here? We have a couple clickers, 3 clickers, 4 clickers, 5 clickers, 6 clickers. All right, 7 clickers. Feel like I'm Oprah giving us stuff away, although leave them after. That's my other announcement. If you do leave early or anything, there's a bin for us to collect your clickers at the end. But just keep your hand raised. I know it's a little, but we've got folks handing them out. All right, I gotta go quick. So once you do get your clicker again, hit the power button. We've got 2 people back there who need clickers. So as you're getting your clicker, can we go to the first polling question? And if you're on your phone, you can answer this too. So again, if you're here in the morning, we still want to know your thoughts on pizza and if they have changed after having some Philly steak for lunch. So do you like pizza? 1, yes. 2, no. 3, unsure. You're not sure about your feelings. There's 2 people who need clickers in the very back still. Yep, oh, and right there, just leave your hand up, they'll come to you. So again, if you have the clicker, it'll say vote now, press the button and hit send. We'll leave it open for a little bit because I know some people are just getting your clickers. Yeah, yep, there we go. Anybody else need a clicker? Just raise your hand, or your phone. You can use your phone. 1 more up here, 3rd row. And again, if you have your clicker, you might have to hit power, but it's like vote now, press it, hit send. On your phone, you use a finger, you tap it. Technology. All right, are we ready for our survey results? Because I know I got to get off stage. Survey says, how does this room possibly feel about pizza? 92% are yes, 6% no, 2% unsure. We still have some people who just don't know how they feel about pizza. Very exciting. So then really quick, for those with the clickers, this tutorial's for you. We're gonna do it really quick. Some of our questions are multiple choice, so you'll be able to enter more than one answer. To do that, there is a button in the corner that says SIM, S-Y-M. It has a period on it. Just if you have the clicker, if you're on your phone, don't worry. You hit whatever number you want, you hit SIM, then you hit the next number, you hit SIM until you're done, and you hit send. So we're gonna practice. So let's practice super quick. Which is the greatest thing about Philadelphia? But you can choose more than one. So again, if you have a clicker, it's good practice. Hit whatever number you think is the best, hit SIM, hit the next one you like, SIM, and when you're done, hit send. And if you're on your phone, just hit the multiple ones with your finger and hit submit. And if you have any questions, just keep your hand raised. We'll have people come help you. And then we're gonna get ready for our next policy lightning round. Got some voting pros in the front, I can see. They've locked it in. Yes, good, yes. Oh yeah, you can click on emojis, how you're feeling. Is the question confusing? Are you excited about it? All right, are we ready with results? Now we're gonna do some old school polling. If you liked lunch or had a good conversation at lunch, can you do a thumbs up? All right, very good to see. All right, and here's how our multiple choice ones work. So you guys got it? So now we're gonna hop into the first post-lunch policy lightning round. Cue the noise. Yes, clapping is encouraged. All right, guys. So we know we're here talking about our democracy, and we want it to work. We want to have trust in our elections, but we want that because just like the general was saying in his wonderful keynote, we want our government to be able to solve problems. We want our government to be able to actually deliver the will of the people. And that's why we wanted to take time today to be able to deep dive on some of these topics that need to be addressed that we need to find bipartisan support on. So this one is going to be about paid family leave. So our first question is up there. Have you ever used family and medical leave, either paid or unpaid, to care for a family member or yourself? Press 1 for yes, press 2 for no, press 3 for unsure. Now, we sent out a pre-survey, thank you to everybody who filled it out, asking you guys your opinion on if you had ever personally been impacted by paid leave. And we got a huge range of answers. People who said, I had to work 2 jobs in order to try and care for my mother, and that still didn't work. People who said, I'm a small business owner and I have empathy, but we cannot pay for this. People who said that this disproportionately impacts women, and people who said, you know what, on a fixed income, I'm growing more and more concerned about this. So let's learn if there's actual policies being considered, and then we'll come back and talk to each other about it too. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce the president of Bipartisan Policy Center, Jason Grimay.
All right, it is good to be back. I should just disclose, we were thinking about this session on child nutrition, but then we wanted to serve the cheesesteaks and the water ice. And so we thought, how about paid leave? So paid leave obviously is a topic that a lot of people have thought about. It's really kind of become much more of a topic of conversation during the last couple of years because of the pandemic. And I think both there was a certain sense of appreciation of essential workers and a kind of empathy and recognition that people were really suffering and balancing their jobs and their health in a different kind of way. There was also the fact that a bunch of us with political power didn't want sick people serving us soup, right? For a moment in time, it wasn't just a question of altruism, but it was actually a question of kind of shared public safety. And so that has pushed the issue forward in the political discussion. It's historically been a pretty bipartisan issue, which you're going to hear about in a minute. And it was part of the Biden social agenda, right? It was one of the pillars of the very significant public spending plan that the administration rolled out. It didn't pass. And by dint of the fact that it was in that partisan process, some of its historical bipartisan support has actually faded away a little bit. So you all took this pre-event survey, and my understanding is that paid leave was in the lower quartile of the things that people said they cared about. We're going to see if we might shift that a little bit in the next 5 minutes. I am going to just share a couple of stats and then welcome my colleague. So I'm not sure if you are aware of this, but the United States is the only developed country to not have some form of paid maternity leave. Right? Only country in the world that basically makes people choose between their rent and their babies. It is also true that the Family and Medical Leave Act, which is a law that provides unpaid leave, is only available to about half the country. So half the country has the ability to take time off and get your job back, but no guarantee of pay. Finally, it turns out that folks with economic security have more support. So 80% of the nation's workforce who are high wage earners have some form of paid leave. And only 40% of the nation's middle and low wage earners have that same opportunity. So, issue that we've been working on a bunch. I am about to introduce Adrian Schweer, who's been leading this project for us. Adrian has the gentle task of both restoring the bipartisan spirit of this issue while broadening support and figuring out how to pay for it. And so with that, I give you my friend Adrienne.
Thanks, Jason. Hi. Thanks, everybody. I'm really excited to be here, and I want to start by saying when many of you took a survey before this event talking about the policies you think our policymakers should address, this was one that very few of you agreed policymakers should address. I'm here to hopefully change your minds. My colleagues and I work on a lot of working family policy, from affordable child care to retirement savings, emergency savings, and paid family leave, my very, very favorite. And it's a little bit my favorite because I'm a crazy mother of 5 young kids, and I've felt this personally in so many ways. And it's also my favorite because I think it affects every single American in today's environment that's trying to work and balance family. So first, I want to take a big step back. 30 years ago, we passed this enormous law called the Family Medical Leave Act. Many people know it as FMLA. what you probably don't know is that it only covers a little more than half of workers. So almost half of workers in America, if they have a new baby, birth or adoption, if they have a family member who gets hit by a car or needs to be transitioned to a facility or has cancer and needs help with their chemo or is nearing the end of life, they can't come back to their job if they take meaningful time off. And most importantly, they themselves, if they needed a 10-day, 14-day quarantine like the pandemic, or if they themselves are suffering in some way, they don't get a job to come back to. And that law hasn't been modernized in 30 years. Moreover, fast forward to today's environment, most people don't have a single day of paid leave. And how that's manifesting itself in really scary ways for our country are that one in 4 new moms in this country are going back to work within 10 to 14 days of giving birth. How many people have birthed the baby? How many people want to go back to work on their feet as your nurse or your teacher 10 days after you have a baby? No. Even worse. Former First Lady Carter had the best quote, the thing that hurts me in my heart the most. And she said, you either were a caregiver, you're going to be a caregiver, you need a caregiver, or there was something else. But the point is, everybody's going to be a caregiver. And today, the millennial generation, those that are of age to have those little babies, 25% of them are also caring for an aging adult. How many people have someone who they're responsible for, who might be in a facility, you're calling their doctor's appointments, they're living in your home right now, they're taking a huge portion of your day. Many of you also work, and you don't have the security of knowing that if that loved one really needs you for more than you have those sick days, you don't have a paid family and medical leave policy. So that's why I think this issue matters so much. It has tremendous bipartisan support from voters, from policymakers, but like almost no bipartisan collaboration on Capitol Hill and at the federal level. This last year, with it not working out and the president's kind of partisan agenda and reconciliation, there is a tremendous opportunity for policymakers to come together and better support working families. I'm going to lastly say we did some surveys over the last year trying to understand what would get people back to work. Those who left the work full time after the pandemic, they tend to be either moms caring for young kids or older women who have left the workforce altogether because they need to manage caregiving responsibilities. Huge portions said they'd go back to work faster or return to full-time work if they knew they had the security of a paid family and medical leave policy. So that's why I am on my campaign to make this an issue that you really care about and why I think it is something that we should be working on at a bipartisan level at the federal level. And if you are interested in talking about it more, we'll be in Kirby after this, and I hope you can discuss together soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Adrienne. Good job. All right, so now we want to know what you think. We're going to do our next turn and talk. So if you can find people, maybe 2 to 4 to 6 right around you, we have a question that we'll have up on the screen. And we're actually going to divide the audience into 2 parts. So if you're sitting in front of the blue flag, the first flag right here, you are Group A. So if you're in Group A, this is your test. Raise your hand. Yep. Okay, you guys are in Group A, just so you know. And then anybody who's behind the blue flag, can you raise your hand? Yep. You guys are Group B. So Group A, what I need you to turn and talk to each other about is if all full-time workers were eligible for at least some paid medical leave to care for themselves or their immediate family, what do you think some of the benefits would be to individuals and to businesses? And just as a reminder, we have a very diverse room in here, and so make sure you're asking questions, listening, and also sharing what you think. So Group A, benefits. Group B, we want you guys to talk about what considerations or limitations do you think should be taken into account for individuals and businesses if we were able to offer some paid leave to all workers. We have a bunch of facilitators around the room. If you guys could raise your hands. They're going to be walking around listening to what you're saying and helping contribute that. So at the end, we can do a recap. We also have about 500 people online talking about this too, so we'll get to see what they say. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes. Turn to each other, answer the question. Group A before the blue flag, Group B beyond the blue flag. And go. Who's Sarah? Oh, shit.
So you want to do results for the first question after the
No.
Padlet? Okay.
We just fixed it. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Sarah? Sorry. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Lightning round goes fast. Well, I was hearing a lot of robust discussion. Here's just a quick view of all of the opinions going on in here. But our team did try and highlight some of the top ones. We'll start with Group A, which was discussing the benefits. I see that we had better mental health for people, more flexibility, lower stress, being able to earn more income and saving. Benefit for business is a more stable workforce, maybe less training that would be needed because you have less people leaving the workforce. Let's scroll over to what are some of the considerations or limits we should have. Can you just scoot a smidge more over? So I think who's going to pay for it is a really big cost or question. I saw on there small businesses. How do we consider those? I saw other things that I will come back to. So obviously a lot to think about. So we have one last poll as we kind of finish up this lightning round about when you think about paid family leave, which of the following types of leave do you think should be offered to all full-time employed Americans? You can choose all that apply. And again, if you have a remote, you'll click what number you agree with, SYM, the next one, and hit send when you're done. But the first option is parental leave, birth or adoption. Number 2 is family caregiving, care for close family like children, spouse, parents. Number 3 is medical, leave to care for your own medical needs. So choose all that you think should be offered to some extent to full-time employees. Obviously, there's a lot of caveats, like all of the pros and cons we were talking about, but which ones are you supportive of? Just as a reminder, immediately following this, if you are excited to learn more about how do we actually make this a reality, you can go with Adrienne to the Kirby Auditorium, which is just straight back. So once we get the polling results, you can just stand up and head that way. Otherwise, you can stay here for the next panel. We should have the results in just a second. If you're having any trouble, just raise your hand. All right, it looks like parental leave, overwhelming support, almost 100, followed by personal medical leave, and then family caregiving. There's definitely over 60% support, over 80% support for all of these things. Let's find a way to pass this with bipartisan support. Thank you guys, I'll be back.